Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 18 of Bobble Pod. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the ethics in marketing. But before I begin, as always, thank you for listening and subscribing. So if you're new to the podcast and listening for the first time, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on all our major podcast platforms, streaming platforms, as we call them, Spotify, Apple, etc. And you're on YouTube, as always. Hello, YouTube. I haven't changed my hoodie this time round, but do follow us on YouTube and click on the bell, subscribe notification to get notified when the episodes come out. Our episodes come out every Tuesday. They're always around about 20 minutes long, and I think it's good, digestible content. But enough of that. Let's get into the episode. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about ethics in marketing. And this topic kind of came up from another dialogue conversation from LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about the Burberry campaign. So Burberry did a recent clothing line campaign for kids, but they featured a young Sikh boy as part of their modeling and photo shoot campaign, which I'll be honest with you was, for someone who comes from a young Sikh, who was a young Sikh boy and never really saw elements like that comes from a Sikh background and faith. I thought that was amazing. To see a brand like Burberry do something like that was absolutely fantastic. And it makes you proud. And that's what I talk about, representation at all levels, and it should be done. And all voices should be heard. And all people should be catered for. Because we're a planet of humans, not individuals. You know what I mean? And we're human first, more than anything else. And it's composed of so many amazing different, opinions, how you see yourself from a gender perspective, how you see yourself from a religious perspective. And I think if you embrace that, it's better for the world than to be against certain subsects or anything like that. But Burberry did a great campaign, and I ended up sharing the backstory to the Burberry campaign, which was a BBC article on LinkedIn. And this is the power of LinkedIn, people. So all I did was share that story, which is Sikh boy and Burberry modeling first. And I just put seeing Sikh representation by brands like Burberry is amazing. To think this is a modeling first too. Absolutely love everything about this, with a couple of clapping emojis. And that post, even though I had a few lines, has had over 88,000 impressions, nearly 1,600 engagements from people liking, loving, or supporting it, 32 comments and 19. But it was one of the comments that made me think of this topic of ethics in marketing, because one of the comments that came from a gentleman was, agreed, but using a 4-year-old to sell Burberry, surely not. At which point I was slightly confused by it. I was like, well, it's a kids clothing range. You would use children when you're promoting kids toys and kids clothing. I mean, all brands do it, whether you're TU clothing from Sainsbury's or Asda George, through to whether you're John Lewis and the John Lewis ads. And I said, I actually replied to that, I'm not clear here in terms of what your issue or opinion or argument is. Is it that Burberry using a 4-year-old boy to sell advertised clothes for a 4-year-old boy? ? And I went, well, if it's that, by logic, should John Lewis not include children in their next Christmas campaign to sell John Lewis as a brand? At which point he was able to clarify it, and I liked the response. He said, no, just against high fashion for kids. That's it. And I was like, that makes sense. And I felt there are times I feel like there are some moral times when children should not be used in advertising. And I guess it's harder for me to see because I work client and agency side. So I said it's harder for me to see that point of view as I'm looking at inside out as opposed to outside looking in. And I actually said to him, you've given me a topic idea for one of our podcasts called Ethical Marketing, which is where this podcast episodes come from. So I'm not going to mention his name, obviously privacy, and we don't want to enable people, but I will be tagging you into this one, and I will be sending it to you because you gave me the opportunity to write this, because you made that comment and made me think. So thank you for that. So it made me think ethics in marketing, because as good as that campaign is, high fashion kids, should we really be exploiting that in a time where, people are struggling to heat their homes and, we're, showcasing it, potentially. There's a great quote from, have you seen the film Wall Street?
I'm trying to think. I don't think I have.
Is it Money? What was it? Wall Street. And then there was a remake. Well, there's a sequel that came out. It was like Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. and it's got I forget his name. I forget his name. Oh, this is going to be bad because we're not going to edit this, so I've already forgotten his name. Martin Douglas? No, it's not Martin Douglas. It's
not the comedian Doug Stanhope.
No. But anyway, there's trust me, there's a film called Wall Street. It's a great film. It has Charlie Sheen in it, and there's someone else in it in the original one, and it was actually, I think it was in the remake, which had Shia LaBeouf in. And it had one of the original characters in the beginning where he goes to talk about moral hazard. What's unethical isn't illegal. So where do you join the line?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's typically a subjective point of view. So Josh, you've just Googled it. Who's the lead role in it?
So Josh has just shown me it's Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. What did I say? Martin Douglas or something? Did I just make it up? Yeah, Michael Douglas. Yeah, he does a great role in both films, by the way. Great actor. So yeah, he's in that one. They talk about moral hazard. What's unethical isn't illegal. And that's just Wall Street for you, isn't it? I mean, when you look at it. But it made me think about ethics in terms of like, well, what Burberry did was great. It was a campaign targeted to children. They brought in diversity and representation into it to a high street brand. But then I can understand you exploiting children to a degree to promote high-end fashion where, again, you have accusations made against brands like Nescafe in terms of like, who creates their products and, some of the ethical farming around that. Then you've got stuff like, Apple that were accused of, child labor and stuff like that in terms of where the products come. So the ethics in marketing goes beyond just the marketing campaign. It goes to the marketing of how you market yourself as a business. So some of the things we do to try to show that we're ethical as a company, and I've talked about this before, is Rainforest Trust. So we've saved we've helped protect well over 1,000 acres, and I'm all about prevention of cutting down rainforests and trees. And that really came from the big bushfire that happened in the Amazon. It made me want to, and seeing that on TV and seeing as we called it, the lungs of the earth burn. And I was like, no, we need to do something. We need to do more to protect this. And then it was Claire Daniels, who from Tree Media, they introduced me to Rainforest Trust because she was a conservation fund member, and we since have joined, and a percentage of our profits now go towards protecting acres, and I think we're close to 1,500 acres now that we've protected across the globe of that, and that's close to like nearly 1,000 football pitches, Premier League football pitches. Just think of the size of the map. That's more than Leeds in West Yorkshire as a potential county that we've helped contribute towards. And I'm very proud of that because we've been doing that for 2 years. But that's just one example of ethics that we use in the company in terms of how we market ourselves, in terms of how we're paper free. We're gone green. And in a world where we deliver in digital, that takes a lot of energy and energy consumption. We have to think about the impact we have as a business. So then you've got other brands, and there's a lot of things out there that can be considered, and I've got some examples here of really bad ethics. And there's like different topics you can think about. So like stuff like misleading images, like you see this all the time. And I'm going to talk about McDonald's and Burger King. And we all know that to some degree it's photoshopped. The way they make the burger looks to how it actually comes in a package is completely different. It's not the same. It's a studio-based format. They don't even use the actual real ingredients. Some of it is fake product, and they add elements to the end. I've actually seen a behind-the-scenes video make of how they do it. But the idea is to make that burger appealing an element. But there's an argument there. Could that be unethical? Because they're making you think that this is a mouth-watering burger, when actually, if you ever go to McDonald's and pick up a cheeseburger, it's not even like the top bun isn't even identically on top of the bottom bun. Sometimes the sauce is everywhere and it's just thrown together because it's speed. That's how the business runs. If you ever watched the film about it, spamming, understanding that marketing a product means getting people's attention. So is remarketing classed as spamming? Because we've all done this, and some of you that are probably listening and watching, we've all searched for a holiday on TripAdvisor, Skyscanner, and the minute we've left and we're going to go check the football results on Sky Sports, news, or you've go back to social media to look at funny videos, you see the retargeting ad of that flight from Leeds Bradford Airport to, I don't know, Lisbon. That's the last flight I did. You start seeing those ads come up. And is that spamming someone? Is that ethical to some degree? Should we have a limit of how much we entice someone? Someone's potentially looking at holiday, but then ramming the prices and the ad down their throats to the point where they convert. Is that ethical?
It's capitalism. It's supply and demand money. It's trying to get your attention, and very similar to maybe McDonald's and Burger King making food look sexy.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to make that destination you've looked at and sort of gone, do I have the money in the back pocket to pay for that right now?
Yeah.
Show the picture of Lisbon, or Tingaki in Greece, or Rhodes, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. That I'm guessing there's no rules to not allow it. So
the one that sticks out more is twisting facts. Some companies will twist facts when they market their products. One example is vitamin water. They market their products as something healthy compared to soda, when in fact it was filled with 8 teaspoons of sugar in a single bottle. And we talked about this on the other episode about the Brexit campaign. That was unethical. I didn't agree with that. That was twisting facts to use it, but it comes back to moral hazard. What's unethical isn't illegal. And that's where I think, brands have to be, in this current age, have to be a lot more careful. Like hidden feeds, like affordable rates, and you see that, so much on, payday loans, and you see the fees, it's astronomical. I remember working with a payday loan company at a previous agency, and when I saw the rates, I actually felt bad working with the client, because I'm like, you're going to charge and rip people off for this, and they can, because that's how it is. Smearing competitors, you can't do that. Actually, I saw a great example recently, which was it Bird's Eye? It might have been Bird's Eye. I might get it wrong, but there's an ad on a billboard right now, and it says it portrays KFC's finger licking good, but the bucket's mostly covered, but the stripes are the same, and it says finger, and that's it. But the rest is covered by the vegan option, and it's a play on ad. I will try and find it, and we'll get we'll get an image up on YouTube, and I'll send it over to Josh. So when if you watch on YouTube, you'll see an idea. That was genius. But is it unethical? Because are KFC going to come something to it? Because although it doesn't mention KFC, although there's no KFC branding, logo on there or name on there, it says finger, and then that bit's cut off. Most of the box is cut off, and there's a box of chicken in red and white standard box, which is a KFC style box. So they're kind of portraying that kind of brand guidelines from KFC to say, it's finger licking good, but the licking good is in their brand, and then for their vegan alternative. I thought it was a very, very smart outdoor campaign. But is that unethical to smear another competitor? This whole topic made me look at different things. And there's a list of 21 here. Exaggeration, no scientific data, false advertising, misleading sale, scare tactics, discrimination, proper credentials, body shaming, negative content, not being eco-friendly, celebrity endorsements, stereotyping, employee maltreatment. 21 examples of unethical marketing. And I was thinking, well, actually, there's some things that I've done which might fall into that category in previous work, not with clients I work with right now, but, I'm very experienced in this industry. But then there's also examples of good marketing, and you've got probably the best one I can give you is the Farmers Direct campaign with Co-op. I don't know if anyone's aware of this one. If you've ever watched one of those food documentaries on Netflix about industrialized agriculture, you already know that farming is not only one of the hardest jobs in North America or in the UK. It's also one of the most unethical industries, from corporate strong arming through to family-owned farms by huge corporations being object to cruelty, misery, infliction of livestock. Farming is a far cry from what it used to be. And a lot of our packaging from supermarkets is all from local elements. But Farmers Direct Co-op did a great campaign where basically the cooperative network of more than 60 privately owned and operated farms across southern Alberta, Manitoba, if I get that right, and committed to truly sustainable agriculture and responsible environmental stewardship. So Co-op, affiliated with several organizations, work with a focus of sustainable farming, including the Conushipa Institute and the Fair World Project. In terms, what Farmers Direct actually sells is Co-op's produce is certified organic, includes produce such as beans, peas and oats, all to sold at whole food locations across North America. But, great campaign overall for that one. The question here is, how did it use ethical marketing? The ethical marketing lies at the heart of the Farmers Direct operations. That's what it was down to, is that it's the operations they used, which took care of a lot of the issues that are happening. And that's where, people are then more likely to go and shop at Co-op, because they provide products that are more ethical elements. They promote it in a more ethical way. They advertise it in a more ethical way. And people will pay a premium on stuff like that. So, and I'd be more than happy to pay a premium if I know local farmers and local dairy producers that are being sourced in local supermarkets are getting good value for money. So there's a lot around ethical marketing that can be touched and discussed about. Generally, I think consumers will favor ethical business practices and marketing over none. But I guess the element I have is, in a recession, when a lot of consumers' pockets are stretched, will they even care about where it comes from? Will they care more about price? And do consumers more care about price than where it's sourced from? We had the debacle with Tesco, remember, in terms of the meat having traces of horse meat, wasn't it? In the supermarkets. Josh is nodding. You're confused. You've got a confused look on your face, Callum.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah.
Yes, that actually is true. And then other supermarkets, I can't remember who came into it. And then came in the British standard and British sourced meats. And that's where that whole movement kind of came from. And this is locally sourced British farmers produced meat, because they had to be more stringent. But prices went up for that. If you look at the meat prices back then to what meat prices are back now, significantly higher. But I always say that there's a point where, as consumers, the price is the only contributing factor when it comes to marketing, and then sometimes ethics just go out of the window. So is it hypocritical to have ethics in one scenario and then not a scenario? But then you've got to understand from a consumer's point of view, in terms of they're limited by what they can. Can you pay the extra premium for Co-op, farmers, lentils or beans, which is going to be £2 more per packet than, Asda's basic range. And Asda's basic products that came out, was rebranded recently, came under a lot of scrutiny because of the colour change and how it could be offensive to people going through the aisles, because it's big and yellow and stands out. And they're thinking of rethinking the packaging, but they've probably spent too much money on that to really care. So there's a stigma as well, a physical stigma, an image stigma, I'm going to say, not physical, an image stigma around stuff like that. And if you look at the trends, supermarkets are selling more of their basic items and actually more premium product items. And that's a cost of living crisis for you right now. So ethics in marketing, love the topic. So much more we can explore about this, but there's just some examples of what's good and what's bad. Let me know your views. If you've seen anything that you thought was unethical, any in terms of marketing, any brands or campaigns that you thought was more exploiting, or any of the elements I mentioned there, or any good examples as well, that brands that you support and you buy from because of their ethics in how they market themselves, and ethics in terms of how they market their company in terms of what they do. Do let us know in the comments. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you found it useful. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on all our podcast channels. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and follow, subscribe, and click on the bell notification. I look forward to catching up with you guys on the next episode, where I'll be talking about Performance Max campaigns, talking about Google, and probably what is now their main campaign feature. So do join me next week on that. Thank you very much.